Here is how I grip the knife, or the spike in this case. Take your hand, cup it ever so slightly, and place the end of the spike in the palm. Bring your spike up, secure it with your thumb by wrapping it around, just like so. And I like to keep the corner of the spike between my index finger and my middle finger. That helps me get a better feel for the spike. And when I'm actually doing it right, I'll feel that spike glide all the way down that channel between my index and middle finger. When I'm nose spinning a knife, it's a little different. I use just my index finger because it's usually a big knife. But for spikes, I'm actually nestling it between my index and middle finger. Don't really have to do that with knives. When you throw spikes, you have the push and then you have the brushing. So you have this push forward and brushing of the spike. How my friend taught me how to do it is to imagine that you're painting in the air, that your spike or your bo-shuriken is a feather and you're painting it with your fingertips ever so lightly. And that should get you hypersensitive to feeling that spike glide through that channel between your index and your middle finger. So what I'm doing is pushing, right? And then I'm brushing the spine of that spike. And the goal being is that when it releases, it's releasing like that rather than releasing that way. You bring your arm back, right? You bring your arm forward, here's the push. And right where you feel that the spike is about to fall, in a split second, what you're going to be doing is brushing that spine. And what you want to do is brush it so when it releases from your hand, it's actually releasing at this angle. Depending on if you're really far away, you're going to exaggerate that push forward, and you're also going to exaggerate that brushing. But because I'm so close, which I'm 1.5 meters, I really don't have to brush the spine as much, nor do I have to push that much. I just kind of have to make sure it flips over. And I'll show you. If I'm actually really brushing the spine, I can get it to hit point forward. That is actually a good throw, and if it's hitting point forward like that, what you are doing is not completing that quarter spin. That's a good sign because that means you can go back. Now let's say in the instance, I don't brush the spine, I just kind of snap it forward. Do you see that? It hits, ugh, I hate doing that. It hits with the handle up. And what that means is I'm not brushing the spine enough. I either have to get in closer or I just had to make sure that I do that pushing as well as the brushing of the spine. Okay? So if you see it hitting point up, that's a good sign. That means you are actually able to go a little bit farther back. If you're seeing that's hitting handle up, that means you are over rotating it. It's going more than a quarter spin. That means you have to get in closer and throw. Or just make sure to brush the spine a little bit more. So I always get people asking me for tips on nose spin knife throwing, and my first response is, well, get closer. Now everyone's usually afraid to get closer to the target because they're afraid of ricochets. You really have to do it when you first throw to understand the technique. Now for knife throwing, I always suggest starting at 2 meters. For spike throwing though, I suggest standing at 1 meter, which seems really close, but it will help you in the long run if you're really struggling with nose spin knife throwing. If you are standing from 1 meter away, if you want to be even more safe, you could just stand at an angle from the target like so. Therefore, if you have any ricochets like this, it happens right there rather than coming directly at you. Starting off from 1 meter away, as I said, the farther you go back, you're going to make incremental changes to your release. For the throw from 1 meter, I'm actually going to bring the spike forward this way. My release is going to end right here. There's going to be virtually no brushing of the spine. I'm just slapping it forward. So the closer you are, you're going to slap that spike forward. Like that. This should be really easy to do. Bring your arm back, forward. Right? And that should give you a feel for the nose spin throw, right? Because it's barely rotating. That's it. Very simple. Let's go back to 1.5 meters. And this is when you're going to start incorporating more of that brushing of the spine, but it's not as much. It's not exaggerated as much. So here we are from 1.5 meters. right? And if you notice, I am slapping it forward, but I'm also still brushing the spine of the spike. And you can feel it. You know you're doing it right when you feel that spike sliding and gliding through your fingers. I'm gonna move back to 2 meters. If you notice the spikes are landing where the handle's slightly upwards, that means my spike is wanting to complete a half spin rotation. And the farther I go with that same throw, it'll start to turn over this way and won't stick. So when you are going back and you notice that it is pointing forward, try to increase that brushing, the pushing of the spike. And I'm gonna see if I can get it to not point as much. Nope. There you go. Nope. Yeah, so anyways, that's my 2 meter throw. I would need to work on the brushing more. Let's see if I could do like 2.5 meters. Probably can't see me. Nope. Whoops. It's starting to rotate, and I need to focus way more on the brushing. I was pushing so much that I was actually pushing up the spike, and that's why it's not really hitting the bullseye. So this distance is great for indoor throwing. The farther you go, the more likely you'll cause damages. Actually, it was when I was practicing some 3-meter throws all the way back there is when I started hitting the drywall. Sitting and throwing is good, but you also had to incorporate your legs, and you're gonna get way more distance using your legs and your entire body throwing than you are from sitting. We'll do some throws outside so I can show you. One thing I really want to try out before we venture outside is adding weight to my spikes. I've never done it, and I really want to know if I can increase my distance. And I wrapped only 3 of my spikes in Wilson tape plus electrical tape. I varied up the weights of the ends because one has less tape and one has a lot more tape. We're gonna experiment, see if these do better than these. I'm really excited about this. Let's see if it works. Science! We're gonna do this first test using just the Java Light spikes without the weight at the end. I'm gonna go back to 2.5 meters and see how successful I am. If you notice, it's starting to turn. That means probably when I go back to 4 meters, it's not gonna stick if I try to stick with the same throw. I'm gonna have to really work on brushing that spine. What'd I tell you? We're going back to 4.5 meters. This is where I hit my wall with these spikes. Let's see if I'm a bit more successful with the weighted spikes up to 4.5, and maybe I can get up to 5 consistently. We'll see. Count that one. It kind of stuck. So I'm going to count it because it did look like it went point in. Now we're reaching my 4.5 mark. Let's see how I do. Oh, that would have been good farther away. Those last 2 throws, I just watched my follow through, and I don't know, it would help. I think I'm going to try that 4.5 again. I think it might be user error, so let's rewind it. Yay! I really think that I'm just too inconsistent with my 4.5 meter throw that I can't really make a good decision. But when you do throw these right, it feels right. And it also nicely looks like it's floating a bit. Still kind of undecided. I don't know for sure. I just need to work. I need to work on my throws. So since you know that my wall in throwing these is 4.5 meters, let's practice the instinctive half spin throw. What I do is usually if it's 4.5, then I go back 1 meter. So I'm gonna try a 5.5 meter instinctive half spin throw. Whoops. Wow. Ah. I ran out of battery, so we'll do that again. Half spin, instinctive, 5.5 meter throw using spikes. I leave you with some drills that you can practice with, so here we go. Hope you liked the video. If you like the quiver that I was wearing on my leg throughout the video, that's from Rob Bentley. He makes custom leather or Kydex sheets. They're amazing. Check out his Facebook page right here. I'm gonna get back to my night throwing reviews. I keep getting distracted, but it's gonna happen. Okay, bye. Ew. Gross. Don't eat that. Go give me your bowl. No, I can't reach it. Thank you. That's too far for me. Can't barely reach it. Thank you. Well, no. It's harder. Yeah, thank you.